You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. It's bedtime. Lights are dim. You've done the teeth, the water, the one more hug routine. Your kid has that negotiation for that third hug. You're halfway out the door of their room, and your kid says, "Mom, wait, don't leave yet." And you could hear it in their voice. Not dramatic, not defiant. It's just height. "Okay, don't be mad, Mom. But what if you died?" And you feel it, that stomach drop. Then your kid rushes it out like they're trying to get it out of their mouth before they chicken out. Or like, "What if my brain makes me think dangerous stuff? Like, I don't even want to think it. It just pops in. And then I feel gross. Am I the only kid who thinks like this?" If you've ever frozen in that moment because you want to take it seriously without making it bigger, this episode is for you, my friend. And before we talk about what to say, let me tell you exactly what I want you to walk away with after this episode. Welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist and parent coach for parents of strong-willed, big-feeling, big-hearted kiddos. In this episode, you will have a calm, shame-reducing, brain-based way to respond when your kid shares a scary thought, plus a simple rule of thumb for when to get help. And we're not doing perfect here. We're doing workable. Because if your body is already reacting, just hearing that bedtime line, you're not alone. So let's normalize the parent reaction first. When your kid says something like dangerous thoughts, your nervous system as a parent is going to react. That doesn't mean you're dramatic. It means you're a parent. Most parents do one of 2 things in that moment. 1, we panic and interrogate because we're trying to assess safety and risk. Or 2, we reassure and repeat because we love them and we want them to feel better faster. No shame. Both are understandable responses. We're just going to make your response more effective so your child feels safe and your home doesn't turn into this reassurance customer service desk that's open 24/7, especially at 9:45 on a Wednesday night. So let's get really clear on what intrusive thoughts are and what they're not. Sometimes the brain throws out these weird, scary, or unwanted thoughts. That doesn't mean you want to do that thing. It means your brain sent you a thought that feels sticky and upsetting. Here are 2 lines I want you to borrow and repeat in your house. A thought is something your brain shows you. An action is something your body chooses. You can have a scary thought and still be a safe kid. Those 2 lines are so powerful because they separate your child from the symptom. They give your kid a way to say, "This is what is happening in my brain," without turning it into, "This is who I am." I think these lines are so powerful, I want to say them one more time. You can put them on a sticky note. A thought is something your brain shows you, and action is something your body chooses. You can have a scary thought and still be a safe kid. Okay, now here's the metaphor I want you to picture. Think of your brain like a website. You're trying to do what you came to do: sleep, eat, do homework, live your life, and then pop ups. They're those unwanted ads. They're loud, random, annoying, and most importantly, not invited. And the skill we're building is this: you don't have to click the pop up, because what makes intrusive thoughts feel bigger is when the brain starts treating the thought like it's an emergency. The kid has the thought, and then the brain goes, wait, why did I think that? Does it mean something? What if it's true? What if I can't stop it? And then the kid tries to get relief. They might check, they might avoid, they might confess, they might ask you the same question over and over and over again. They might do something just right so nothing bad happens in their mind. The chasing certainty can accidentally teach the brain, yep, this pop up, it's important. Keep sending it and I will respond to it. And once you hear how kids say this out loud, you're going to recognize it immediately. Here's what intrusive thoughts can sound like in kid language. Some of the ones I hear most commonly in my practice, they kind of go like this. What if I die? What if something bad happens while I'm asleep? What if I get sick or you get sick? What if my brain makes me do something? What if something terrible happens again? What if I blurt out something awful in class and get embarrassed? Why'd my brain even think that? Am I bad for thinking that? Am I the only kid who thinks this? Now, these are the three buckets I most often see in my practice. Bucket number 1, death of a loved one. What if you die or go missing? What if I wake up and you're gone? Now, bedtime loves this bucket because nighttime already makes the brain feel a little bit more vulnerable, and they tend to be more likely to show up there. Bucket number 2, replaying scary stuff. Kids overhear things. News at a friend's house, war footage, a plane crash story, adult conversations, and their brain replays it like it's a highlight reel that they didn't ask for. Bucket number 3, shame. This is the big one. They don't just feel scared. They feel ashamed they even had the thought. They think it means something about who they are. And yes, around ages 9 to 12, kids can also have intrusive thoughts about their bodies, puberty, crushes, and things that they're curious about. The thought pops in, and shame says, I'm gross, or I'm bad, or that's disgusting. For a lot of kids, the shame is the biggest pain, not the actual thought. It's more about the feeling. And at this point, parents usually ask the question that matters. Is this just a scary thought, or is this a safety issue? So let's separate those lanes. I want to talk about intrusive thoughts versus real world danger. We take safety seriously and we take brain pop-ups seriously, but we don't treat them the same way. A scary thought can be loud, upsetting, and still not mean your child is unsafe. This is why we focus less on proving the thought is false and more on what happens next. Do they get stuck? Do they need certainty? Do they start loops like checking, avoiding, confessing, repeating questions? That's often where the loop lives, which brings us to the parent's job, because your response can either shrink the loop or accidentally feed it. Your job as a parent is not to argue with every thought or make fear disappear on demand. You have 3 things to do as a parent so that we're not feeding into this cycle. First, help your child feel safe and unashamed. Second, name what's happening. And third, avoid turning yourself into the reassurance machine. 1 calm response is support. 17 repetitions can become a cycle. And I want to say this gently. Reassurance, it's not bad. It's loving. It's human. But if a child needs reassurance repeatedly to feel okay, that's usually the moment we stop and go, oh, this might be a loop. And since we're all human, let's name the 3 common traps so you can watch yourself without spiraling into guilt. Here are the 3 traps we fall into because we love our kids. Trap number 1, interrogating the details. We think we're assessing danger, but we accidentally make the thought bigger and more important. Trap number 2, reassurance on repeat. Saying things like, I promise you won't. I swear. You would never. Again and again and again. Trap number 3, helping them avoid everything. Avoidance teaches the brain, yep, that pop-up, it was a real threat. So what do we do instead? Like tonight, when we're tucking our kids in and the pop-up emerges, here's the exact protocol you can follow. There are 3 steps. Name it, neutralize it, next thing. Step 1, name it. Sounds like you're having an intrusive thought. We're saying, sounds like a brain pop-up. Step number 2, neutralize it. Your set phrase that you use with your kiddo. You can say something like this, pop-up, I'm not clicking. Or, up, sounds like a pop-up, I'm not clicking it tonight. Then add your anchor lines. A thought is something your brain shows you. An action is something your body chooses. You can have a scary thought and still be a safe kid. Then repeat. That's a pop-up. I'm not clicking. Step number 3, the next thing. We want to teach the brain what comes next. Now we move not because we're dismissing, but because we're teaching the brain a new pattern. We notice the pop-up and we return to life. You've got 2 strong next thing options. Option 1, a brain flexibility rep. Okay, your brain gave you the worst thing. Now what could be the best thing, the funniest thing, the silliest thing, the most likely thing? We're not pretending everything is perfect. We're training the brain to stop acting like worst case is the only channel. Option number 2, quick body reset. Sometimes just taking 30 to 60 seconds to have a sip of cold water, do some grounding where we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 senses, wall push-ups, stretching, and then getting back to the bedtime routine helps us transition from that thought and move on to the next task. And because parents love an example, let's do 2 quick role plays so you can hear how it actually sounds, okay? Here's my first role play if the kiddo was to say to me, what if you die? So it might sound like this. Kid says, what if you die while I'm sleeping? As a parent, I might say, thanks for telling me this. That sounds like a scary thought. It sounds like a brain pop-up. Pop-up, not clicking it. A thought is something your brain shows you. An action is something your body chooses. You can have a scary thought and still be a safe kid. Okay, next thing. Do you want the short story or the long story tonight? And notice in that example, we didn't debate the thought to death. We didn't promise certainty. We helped the kid return to the next step. Do you want the short story or the long story tonight? Role play number 2, when a kid has a gross thought. Your kid might say something like, I thought something really gross. Like, what if I'm bad? As a parent, you could say, you're not in trouble. That sounds like an intrusive thought. Pop up, I'm not clicking it. You can have a scary thought and still be a safe kid. Let's do a 30-second reset. Hand on belly, slow deep breath in. Now blow it out. Then we're going to do the next thing. And notice in this example, we didn't make it a big confessional moment. We didn't even ask, like, what was the gross thought? We reduced the shame around having a gross thought and we move forward. Now, if you ever need one quick check to steady your nervous system before you do the protocol, here's the sorting question I want you to think about. Did that thought scare you, or do you feel like you want to do it? Most kids with intrusive thoughts are scared of the thought. That's a different lane than intent. And then we go back to the plan. Name it, neutralize it, next thing. You'll also notice this shows up most right before brave things. So let's talk about performance moments for a minute. Pop-ups love high-stakes moments, things like tests, performances, auditions, speeches, tryouts, extracurricular games, because your kid's brain is already revved up. So if your kid is about to do something brave, expect pop-ups. This is where parents accidentally say, don't be nervous. But the stronger message is, you can feel nervous and do it anyway. And our protocol stays the same. Pop up, not clicking, next thing. And if you're thinking, why is this happening now? That's a smart question. Let's talk about that for a minute. Sometimes intrusive thoughts spike because of what kids overhear. News at a friend's house, war footage, a story from the news, overhearing an adult conversation. Sometimes it's stress and transitions. Sometimes it's being overtired or overstimulated. And sometimes, especially around ages 9 to 12, kids are becoming more and more aware of big topics, their bodies, and what things, quote, mean. And their brains are more sensitive to shame. This isn't your kid being fragile. This is a brain taking in more information. And if you're wondering, when does this cross the line into we need help territory? Here's a clean rule you can use. When it comes to getting help, this is a good rule of thumb. If the thoughts are frequent, sticky, and interfering with sleep, school, friendships, routines, or normal kid life, get support. Also, watch what happens after the thought. Does your child start checking things, avoiding other things, confessing, repeating questions, needing constant reassurance to feel okay? Those are signs the brain is getting stuck in a loop. Getting support isn't overreacting. It's proactive. And if the impact is showing up at school, or school is the stage where the anxiety spikes, here's your school psych in your back pocket. When intrusive thoughts show up at school, the most common pattern is the child looks fine on the outside and they're doing mental gymnastics on the inside. Teachers might see perfectionism, avoidance, getting stuck, starting, frequent trips to the nurse, repeatedly asking, is this okay, kind of checking, or big emotions that seem out of nowhere. Here's what I want you to do as a parent. First, don't overfocus on the content. School doesn't need the detailed storyline of the thought. They need the pattern. My child gets stuck in worry loops and needs a brief, consistent plan. Second, ask for a consistent plan without the reassurance spirals. A helpful script is, sounds like a pop-up, what's your next step? Third, use a brief reset plan, then return. Provide something that's predictable, time-limited, and designed to return the child back to learning. And finally, plan for pop-ups around performance and testing. So instead of it being like, no, don't be nervous, it can be, you can be nervous and do it anyway. Let's do the next brave thing. And here's a simple email you can copy and paste for me. Tweak it. Hi, school counselor. We're working on anxiety-style sticky thoughts, intrusive thoughts, that can show up as repeated checking and reassurance seeking. We're using a simple plan at home where we label it as a brain pop-up, do a brief reset, and return to the next step. Could we set up a consistent phrase at school like, sounds like a brain pop-up, what's your next step? And a brief reset option if needed, so my child can return to class without repeated reassurance loops. I appreciate your partnership. Thank you so much. Kids Mom. Okay, let's talk tiny wins, because nobody needs a 14-step plan at bedtime when the pop-ups are off the hook. We need a simple screen. Here are your tiny wins to try this week. Pick one is enough. Tiny win number 1, pick one line and repeat it this week. A thought is something your brain shows you. An action is something your body chooses. Tiny win number 2, practice the 3-step plan once you're calm, like a fire drill. Name it, neutralize it, next thing. Tiny win number 3, try worst, best, funniest, most likely one time this week when your kid catastrophizes. Tiny win number 4, limit your reassurance to one calm response. Then say, pop up, not clicking, next thing. Pick one is enough. And if you want a tool that helps you translate big reactions into brain language so you're not improvising at bedtime, I've got you. If this episode helped you feel steadier, share it with a friend who's parenting a big feeling kiddo with a loud brain. make sure you join the Tiny Wins email list because you deserve tools you can use on a school night. And make sure you grab the Big Feelings Decoder in the show notes. It helps you translate big reactions into brain language and gives you go-to scripts for the next hard moment. Today, we made intrusive thoughts less scary and more workable. You learned the pop-up metaphor, the 2 anchor lines, thought versus action, and save kid. A plan you can use tonight. Name it, neutralize it, next thing. With the neutralizer, you can borrow anytime. Pop-up, not clicking. And you got a clean rule for when to get extra support, when it's frequent, sticky, and interfering with real life. We'll keep making the homeschool puzzle less mysterious together. 1 pop-up not clicking at a time. 1 thought versus action reminder at a time. 1 bedtime, name it, neutralize it, next thing at a time. 1 brave school step after a sticky thought. 1 teacher email that's clear and steady without turning you into the reassurance department. And the next time you sit at that tiny round table in that tiny chair, remember, schools have expertise and you are the expert on your child. Your insight is not extra, it's essential. You're not behind, you're building a partnership, and you're building skills, yours and theirs, 1 small, doable step at a time. Until next time, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white-knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick 1 idea, 1 sentence, or 1 tiny shift and try it in a low-stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psychtoparent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, 1 tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.